Hey everyone, back with another quick video. Today I have here the Xiaomi Redmi Note 5 with the latest LineageOS 15.1, which runs on Android 8.1, and we're going to just go over a few tips and tricks on and a few little hints on what can make your device easier and more functional for your day-to-day use. So starting off with the lock screen, as you can see, this is what you get when you first wake up your device. And I've actually already gone ahead and set up a Google account and set up Wi-Fi and put a SIM card in. But here we've got our lock screen. Now, this is what you get when you wake up your phone, and you will see your, generally speaking, notifications, time. You've got some status stuff up at the top, like your battery, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, your carrier, etc. And on your notifications here, you can swipe down for quick actions, or if you want, you can just tap on it, or I think double tap, and that will take you into the app where you can take further action. Here we've got a few other things down at the bottom. We have some quick actions on your lock screen, so if you just want to quickly do something. These are customizable, by the way, these quick actions at the bottom. By default, we've got one that goes into a quick voice search. So if you swipe from the left to right, it'll launch the quick voice search. On the other side, we have the camera. So if you swipe right to left, it'll open the camera. So to demonstrate, swipe on that. Oh, I haven't chosen a default camera yet, which, by the way, is that just top one. And then hit always. And then here we go. I can take a photo if I wanted to. So now if I try that, as you can see, very, very quick to get into the camera. Moving on from the lock screen, we'd still have a few other things. If you swipe down from the top, you will get your quick settings. So you don't actually have to unlock your phone to quickly adjust your brightness, for example. You can do that all from the lock screen. You can turn off Wi-Fi, you can turn on data, you can turn on hotspot, flashlight, all without unlocking your phone. And actually, you've got a few other toggles here. If you swipe across, you've got more toggles. And there's plenty to play with here. Like you can turn on your battery saver, you can turn on your flight mode, you can adjust your location settings, you can cast your screen to a smart TV or Android TV box or Chromecast. Heaps of other cool stuff in here. So have a play around. Don't worry, you're not going to break your phone by toggling stuff. But yeah, there's certainly plenty of quick little things you can do without even unlocking your phone. And if you want to change any of these, just that little pen button, and you can adjust where they are, the positioning of them. Obviously, the first 6 are the most common ones you want to use, and then I guess the less common icons you can have further down the list. And you can add more tiles as well, and some apps also add their own tiles. So for example, LastPass will add their app fill tile, and this allows you to quickly fill in a password or a form straight from your LastPass account if you have that set up, which is really, really nice. But yeah, really cool little tool, and I use this all the time just to quickly turn on my flashlight or turn on Wi-Fi or do something like that. It's super, super handy. So going back to the lock screen again, to unlock your phone, of course, you just swipe up and you're in. So now we're on the home screen. So the home screen, also known as the launcher, is it's kind of like your desktop. So if you're familiar with a computer, your desktop is what you get when you first turn it on. You have your icons and your wallpaper and whatnot. Now, because smartphones are small, you can't fit everything into a single desktop. So if you swipe across, left and right, you will see that we actually have 3 home screens in total. You can see the indicator down here based on the little dots and which one's highlighted. And I've set this up to be as user-friendly as possible. And I kind of like to theme each of these home screens. So the main home screen, which is this middle one here, is the default. This one has a lot of your day-to-day really important stuff that you use a lot. So for instance, you've got the time, the weather, you've got your quick Google search, you've got Google Assistant, you've got camera, photos, messaging, and then of course at the dock you have these few icons. So these are consistent across any home screen, so they don't change at the bottom. These are the really important ones. But just to elaborate a little bit more here, this widget here, which is this funky little icon section we've got here, this is actually interactive. So if you tap on the time, for example, it'll take you into the clock app. And you can add different time zones here. So if you're traveling, you can see what time it is at home. You've got quick access to a timer, quick access to a stopwatch, alarms, etc. It's all here. And you can even customize this if you want. There is a little settings cog, and this will customize the widget. Further down, you've got the weather again. Tap on that. It'll take you into the weather information. And then you can see, what weather's going to be like. You can see your maximum, minimum, chance of rain, all this really cool stuff. And if you want, you can go into the settings and you can, check the radar if there's going to be rain near you. You can also go ahead and also pick different locations. So if I tap on the current location, I can type in a new location. And if I could type, that'd be nice. There we go. So I can see, Nambour's pretty close, but anyway, it's the same thing. But this works pretty well. One quick note about Weather Zone, which is this app that we use for weather. Works really great in Australia, but if you are traveling, I recommend AccuWeather as a replacement. It has a very similar setup to Weather Zone. So if you are going to Europe or Middle East or the US or South America, check out AccuWeather. It's, I find, a little more comprehensive if you're traveling. Weather Zone seems to be quite limited overseas at the moment. It may improve. Further down, we have three icons. We've got Google, Search, and Assistant. Now, I'll explain what the difference is between all three of these. So Google, or also known as what used to be known as Google Now, is kind of like your Google feed. So if you have a Google account set up and you tap on Google, it's going to, of course, come up with a simple Google search. But as you use it a bit more, and I actually haven't set this up quite yet, but let me just quickly fly through this. Okay. I'll let it refresh. It does give you relevant information. So based on your activity, your Google searches, your interests, your day-to-day stuff that you work with, it's going to give you relevant articles, relevant information. And right now, this is giving me news stuff. But let's say I was traveling and I wanted to go ahead and find out some information near me. It would start providing more relevant topics ahead of time. So I don't actually have to search it up. One prime example of this is this: if I have flights booked, it will go ahead and it will automatically tell me when my flights are going to be, if there's going to be any delays, how long it'll take to get there, if I'm taking a taxi or an Uber, or if I'm getting a connection or whatever. It gives you all sorts of cool information ahead of time. Like right now, it's just giving me the weather where I am. But check that out. Very, very useful. The one in the middle here is just a really fast search. So if you want to quickly look up anything, you just tap on that little search icon. It's instant. You're just searching straight away. Really, really nice if you just really want to quickly look something up. And then on the right, we have the Assistant. So the Assistant is one of Google's personal assistants, kind of like if you've used an iPhone before, you've got Siri. And I have to say, it's really, really good. I've been using it quite a bit, and you pretty much just talk to it. So you ask it, right now it's asking us to set it up. So if you say, okay, Google, it recognizes your voice. I'll just set this up. Okay, Google. Okay, Google. Hey, Google. Okay, cool. And I turn these on as well. They're quite handy. All right. So now if I just say, hey, Google. This is embarrassing. Okay, Google. What's the weather right now?
Right now in Minderry, it's 65 and mostly cloudy. Today, it's predicted to be 63 with a chance of showers.
Okay, so you get the idea. And you can pretty much ask it anything. So if you want to know, good restaurants near you, or, what time does the 6:10 bus leave from Yandina, or, who won the AFL last night, or something like that. And it will give you pretty cool answers. As you ask it more and more questions, it gets better and better at answering those questions. And it's just a really handy way of finding out information without even touching the screen, I suppose. Moving down, we've got the camera. Pretty self-explanatory. I'll just let you play around with this in your own time. We've got Google Photos. So this is what I'd recommend setting up. So if you just open this up, by default, it'll ask you if you want to set up auto backup. I've already done this. And what this means is that any photos that you take on your device will automatically back up to your Google account, assuming you have Wi-Fi. What this means is that if you go to your computer and you go to photos.google.com, you can view all your photos that you've taken, and you can even view this on other devices as well. This works across any Android device, whether it be a tablet or a phone, and you can even install it on Apple devices as well. So if you have an iPhone, for example, and you just want to move your photos across, just set up Google Photos on there, let it back up, and they'll just appear magically on your phone. Really cool stuff, and unlimited photo backups for up to 16 megapixels and 1080p video, which for most people is plenty. Google Play Store. So if you want to download an app, if you want to download a game, a movie, a book, music, news, etc., it's all here. Pretty cool, and you can find pretty much everything and anything. One word of warning, there is a fair bit of garbage on app stores, whether it be Google's or Apple's, doesn't matter. Just be a little cautious of what you download. Anything that promises to speed up your phone or improve your battery life, or I don't know, do something kind of ridiculous for free, just be wary. They often don't do what they actually do, and if you are a little concerned whether an app is legit or not, just do a Google search for it. And if it's really bad, and I know that sometimes they even have really good reviews, a Google search will actually tell you whether it's legitimate or not. Communities like Reddit or Whirlpool will tell you if it is trustworthy or not. Sometimes if it's free, you are the product. They're probably collecting data on you. But don't be too afraid. I mean, most apps are not too bad, and there's a lot of great free apps and paid apps. So enjoy. If you also want to update your apps, you can go into the side menu here and go to My Apps and Games. And if there's any updates available, they will appear. Now, one word of warning, if you are brand new to Android, if you've never used a Google account on an Android phone, or even if you're finding that you don't have many updates pending straight out of the box, there should be 24 because this is a fresh device. If you're finding that there's nowhere near this many, you may be affected by a bug, which basically means that the apps don't associate with your account until you actually search for it. So to illustrate, if I go to Gmail, tap on that. If you're finding that it wasn't saying update, then it changes to update all of a sudden, you may need to search for your apps and then update them manually, just for the first time. After that, it'll do it automatically. I'll link a PDF file in the description that makes this really easy. It just has a link to every single pre-installed app, and from there it should be fine. But just a slight little bug I see every once in a while. I mean, I don't get affected by it because I've used Android phones in the past and I've used all these apps in the past. But if you are new, sometimes that happens. Please fix Google. That would be nice. Moving on, we've got our Gmail app. Now, Gmail can actually import other mail as well. So if you are using Hotmail, for example, you can add an account in here. And this even works with sort of, I guess, old school email accounts. That said, I would recommend wherever possible, if you are using something like Big Pond Mail, which doesn't really synchronize properly across devices, it is generally best to go to your computer and go to gmail.com and then import the account via POP3. What that will do is it actually synchronizes everything within your account. Basically, Gmail takes over your Big Pond account, and it just leads to a more straightforward experience, I'd say, because Big Pond Mail, for example, it uses an IMAP account. Essentially, that means that it won't synchronize contacts, calendars, and other like preferences within your email it's kind of annoying. I mean, it's not the end of the world. You can still do it the old-fashioned way, I suppose, but best practice is to go to gmail.com on your computer and then add the account there, and then that means it's just all in the one account rather than having to switch between them as well. It's also kind of annoying. Yeah, just have a play around with that if you have any trouble. Google do have a guide. Just look up how to import POP3 Mail Gmail on Google, and that'll tell you. Moving on, we've got a folder here. Now this one's called Social, and we've got a couple of apps in there. Now, if you don't use Facebook, that's fine. You can easily uninstall it. Any apps that you use for social, I recommend just dragging and dropping them into here, which leads me to my next little tutorial, how to drag and drop and move around stuff on your home screen. So if you long press on anything, you will get this message that says desktop is locked. Now, I set this up so that if you are new to Android and you're new to smartphones in general, you don't accidentally delete stuff, because I've seen that. So I lock the desktop by default. What that means is that if, let's say I go into an app and I go back to the home screen, it's going to re-lock. You can turn this off. If you're comfortable, you can turn this off permanently. But all you have to do is just, when you long press, just hold this lock button down, and now you can make modifications. So if I want to move that up, move that across, drag it into a folder, drag it out of a folder, move it back there, or just change the settings, you can do all that now. So one other thing as well, if you want to uninstall something, or if an app is misbehaving, you want to clear the data, you can tap on this little eye. It'll take you into app settings. From here, I can stop the app if I need to. I can see the permissions. I can go into storage and clear the data or clear the cache. This sometimes fixes little glitches here and there. And yeah, if you also really want, let's say you're not a Facebook user, you want to get rid of it, keep holding. Oops. Unlock. Holding it again. Wait. Some of these have like the quick launch things, so you have to keep holding it. Or I got to hit edit. Or app info. Oh, my bad. App info. I should probably look at what I'm doing. Okay, and then if I want to uninstall it, hit uninstall, and that will remove it, and it is gone. So the other thing you can do, if you want, you can go into the Play Store, search up the app, and you can actually uninstall it from here. So if I want to uninstall Facebook Messenger, I can go into here and search it up. Excuse our very slow internet here, and try that again. Nope. Okay. Well, this is a terrible example. Let's try that. There we go. And we can hit uninstall. Yeah. And that will remove it. And you can reinstall it as well from there if you want. Let's say it's causing you some problems. You can uninstall it and then reinstall it. And that is very nice. One slight note about Messenger. I highly recommend, and this actually, start with Facebook app. When you open up Facebook for the first time, you'll notice that it will notify you a lot. Super annoying. Just go into the settings, and you can disable the push notifications for like likes and post updates and stuff, because otherwise it'll drive you nuts. And with the Facebook Messenger, they have this chat heads thing that kind of stays on the screen. I personally find this super annoying. A lot of people do as well. Again, you have to go through the settings of the app to disable it. If you get stuck, just Google on how to disable chat heads in Google, or how to disable Facebook app notifications. If you do a Google search for either of those, you'll find a guide that will tell you exactly what to do. Moving on, so this is the media page. So from here we have just a small collection of apps at the bottom, and there's a bit of white space for you to add stuff and customize things to how you like. So we've got Phonograph, that's just a really basic music player. Spotify is, well, you probably heard of it. It's just a really great online radio system. Google Play Music, that's a really cool app if you have your own music collection on your computer. What you can do is you can go to, I think you just type in Google Play Music into Google, and from there you can upload your own music libraries and things that you've collected over the years on your computer, and then play them back through the internet on your device. Very, very cool. TuneIn Radio, so if you want to listen to local radio or any radio around the world for that matter, you can use TuneIn. And then in this media folder, you've got a couple more apps. You've got YouTube. I'm sure you've all heard of YouTube. And then just a simple voice recorder. Moving down here, we've got settings, wallpapers, Gboard. So Gboard is your Google keyboard. So if you want to adjust the preferences and the theme and everything, you can do that here. Then you've got Files, Go. This is just a really quick, simple file manager by Google. This allows you to see your downloads and documents and other media files on your device, and it also helps you clear out space, which is really cool. Then we have the system folder. These are just some, I guess, tools and things that you probably won't use on a day-to-day basis, but are nice to know that you have. So Adaway here, this is an app that blocks ads. Super underrated. I love this app, and it really makes a difference. So if you see a pop-up for Adaway, that's your ad blocker. Let it do its updates, and you won't see too many ads, which is cool. Now this is a root app, meaning that it needs root access, and I'll explain what that is in a second. So you'll see here, Adaway is granted super user rights. If you've ever had a Windows computer, you'll know that there's a difference between like an admin account and a standard user. On these phones, you actually have full admin access, which is a pretty rare feature, I must say. Most Android phones don't have that, and this is something which I think makes a big difference, because, I mean, ads can be really frustrating sometimes. Moving along, we've got Files, Nova settings. So if you want to adjust the launcher, which is what we've been on before, you can adjust your desktop. You can add scroll effects, wallpaper scrolling. You can adjust your dock icons, everything on the home screen. You can play around with it, customize it to your likings. The other way you can do that, if you long press on some white space, hang on, unlock first, and you go to settings, that does the same thing. Then we've got SMS backup. So if you want to set up an automatic backup of your messages, you can use this app. You can also use this app on another phone that you have if you want to transfer your messages. Very cool. If you're doing some diagnostics on your internet connection, if you think things are running pretty slowly, you can do a speed test. Very handy. And you've got titanium backup. And I won't go into this too much, but if you want to back up anything and everything, you can do that here. I only recommend playing around with this if you're moving phones, and then the other phone can support titanium backup as well. But usually you don't need to do much with that. And one other thing I probably should have in this is this app here called Magisk Manager. And before I was talking about having administrative access, this Magisk Manager provides administrative access on your device. And this will pop up every once in a while and ask to update. Let it do its updates. It's good to have on the phone. And what this essentially allows is for that ad blocking app to work. And it also enables some of the, it gets around some of the security checks that Google do to ensure that your device is secure. Now, this device is running encryption. You will probably be setting up a fingerprint sensor with, PIN code and all that sort of thing. So security-wise, it's fine. One little cool thing, if an app complains that you have root access, you can go into the side menu here and you can enable Magisk Hide. And what this does is that it hides the root framework from the device. So let's say this app, barcode reader and generator, doesn't want to run because you have root. If you hide it, then it'll run just fine. It's a very cool feature. And this also ensures that it maintains the security of your device. So moving over to the left, we have your calendar. So I haven't set this up yet, but if I were to tap on that, it takes you into your calendar. You say, got it. Yes, allow. By the way, if apps ask you for permissions, I assume you trust it. So do allow permissions when it gets prompted. Otherwise, things may not work. And if you deny everything, then yeah, that may lead to a poor user experience. So yeah, that'll just appear in a moment. Barcode scanner, pretty simple. If you've got a barcode, or one of those funny QR codes that you want to scan, open that up, point it at your barcode, and it'll work. Calculator, I mean, we've all used one of these before. LastPass, now that's actually a really cool app. So this app allows you to store and securely store all your passwords and private information that you may have. So I usually recommend setting this up on your computer as well. So if you have a laptop, you can set up a LastPass on there, and then you can use that account to synchronize your passwords and your sensitive data between your phone and your computer. Really, really cool thing about LastPass is that essentially how it works is that you create a master password, and then it generates passwords for you. So you only need to remember one password, and then LastPass remembers the rest for you. Very, very cool. I don't even remember 80% of my passwords because I just get LastPass to do it. And it's all encrypted, so that means that even if someone got access to your device, they would not be able to get access to your passwords without that master password. And you can even set up two-factor authentication. So you need, let's say, an SMS code and your master password to get in, which makes it very, very hard for anyone to get access to that data. I mean, they might as well just point a gun to your head. That'd be a fair bit easier. Then we've got a few other apps here. This is Google Drive. So this is actually kind of themed. These are all just useful apps. These are like utilities. So Google Drive, this is what you use if you want to access your documents and files. Again, you want to set Google Drive up on your computer at home or at work, and then make sure you have your files in there, and then you can access that on your device as well. Moving along, tasks, pretty simple. I don't really need to jump into tasks or do anything there. It's very, very easy. Google Keep is one I want to quickly explain. So Google Keep is a note-taking app. So it's different to the tasks. So, and I will explain one little thing about, I guess, organizing yourself on a smartphone. So your calendar is always for things that will happen at a specific time and day. So once that event passes, it's irrelevant, I suppose. So doctor's appointments, birthdays, special events, that's what you want to use your calendar for. Your tasks are things that need to get done. So let's say you need to renew your rego, or take out the trash, or do something in particular. You would put that in your tasks, and then you can check it off once it's done. And everything else you would put into your notes. So if you just need to note down a serial number, or a TV show that you want to look into, or you just want to write out something, you can do that here in Google Keep. And it's just a really simple, really fast way of making notes. So to make a note, you just tap on Take a Note. From here, you can set a title. I'll call this Test. And I'll say, I am writing a note. And whilst I'm in the notes writing, I'll explain the keyboard a little bit. So this is Gboard, as we mentioned earlier. And you'll notice I did this swiping thing earlier. So this is a really cool feature that I really, really like, especially if I'm using a phone one-handed. And instead of tapping on every individual letter, and then using the prediction to select a word if I want to, I can just drag my finger between the letters, and it knows what I'm typing. So this is really neat. So let's say I want to write, I am going to the store. There you go. It has been able to predict what I actually want to write based on those gestures. So play with both. Play with the hunting and pecking, and play with the gesture, and see what works best for you. I actually switch between the two all the time. Basically, if I'm one-handed, I'll tend to use the gestures. If I'm two-handed, I'll probably type with both thumbs like this, and I'll find that a bit quicker. But yeah, it takes a bit of practice, of course, so don't be discouraged if at first you feel very slow. But after a little while, that combined with the predictions, you'll be able to type pretty quick. It's quite versatile. And also, if you want to, you can also use the second characters here. So if you notice, for example, on this D, there's a $sign. So you just hold that down and you'll get that other letter behind it, which is pretty neat. So you can quickly access a lot of the special characters. And if you need more special characters, tap on this little 1, 2, 3 at the bottom, and you can switch between all these other special characters that you might not use as commonly, but every once in a while, you can even set a pound symbol. Well, you can. So yeah, very, very cool. And also you've got a couple of things up here at the top. So this, we'll start with this one, the G symbol. This one allows you to quickly search for something within the keyboard. This is kind of more useful in conversations. So if you want to quickly share the weather with someone, you can press the G, type in weather, and you can say, oh, look, well, this is going to be the weather today. You sure you want to, meet up? Maybe you want to do it tomorrow. And, that's just a neat little feature. And on the other side, if I tap on some blank space, the keyboard will come up. The other side, I got the microphone. So if you're feeling like this whole tapping thing isn't for you, tap on the microphone, and I haven't got microphone support set up on this account. But actually, if you were to tap on it, it would come up with a little green microphone symbol, and you would just talk. And then when you're done, hit the microphone in the middle, and then it would insert all the text, which is pretty cool. All right, so that's pretty much it. Oh, the other thing, if you want to insert text somewhere, you've got this little marker, and let's say you want to put something here. You can do that, and you can insert. And also, if you long press on text, you can also cut, copy, and share. So if you drag this along, all right, I want to copy this, and then let's say if I hit this multitasking button, I want to paste it in my calendar, or then I can do that as well. Put that in a note. There you go. Which is very cool. Oh, and I assume you know what these buttons are: back, home, and recents. Okay. So moving on, we've got Google Maps. So Google Maps, I'll go over very quickly. And if you open this up, you will find this pretty self-explanatory. Press this little marker here to go to your, this is actually cool, traffic information is amazing. You tap on this one, it'll tell you where you are. And from here, you can explore stuff around you, or you can do a search. You've also got voice input too. So if I look for Brisbane, there you go, and then I can get directions. And you can say, okay, great, well, I actually want, well, I don't think I want to get walking directions, but if you swipe up from here, you can see more information about the route. Okay, great, that looks good to me. And then if I'm ready to go, I just hit start and say, okay. And then boom, it's going to give me turn-by-turn directions. So if you have a mount in your car, you can get directions to anywhere and everywhere, which is very, very nice. And you can also tap on this and you can change your settings. So if you want to avoid tolls, for example, that would be in the settings somewhere. Actually, I think it's in the, yeah, you do this before you do the actual navigation. So actually, if I go into here, route has tolls. Actually been a while since I've done this. They've changed it. Nope. Oh, well, it's something I'll have to find out. I know it's totally doable. I've done it in the past. It's somewhere in the settings when either you're trying to get directions or trying to go through the settings or something. All right. You play with that, you'll find it's pretty straightforward. And then, of course, your calendar, which we've already gone over. So I think that pretty much sums it up. Oh, no, sorry. I have to set up the fingerprint sensor. So if we swipe down from the top, we've got this little settings cog. We can go into settings. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up the fingerprint sensor. This is pretty important. I think it's also very convenient. I find it a lot faster than not having one. So what we're going to do is tap on security and privacy, fingerprint, and then we're going to unlock with fingerprint. So we just follow this, and we've got to set up a backup pattern. So if, let's say, your finger's dirty or wet or something like that, you've got to have something as like a backup. Now, you got a choice between a pattern, pin, or a password. I recommend either a pattern or a pin. A password's kind of annoying, but I personally prefer patterns. A pin is slightly more secure. Not by much, but it is slightly more inconvenient. So if you do pattern, I'll show you how that works. This is optional, secure startup. If you are quite pedantic about the potential of anyone accessing your data whilst if it's stolen or whatever and it's turned off, turn this on, and this will prevent anyone even accessing the storage without the extra pattern when you start it up. We're going to skip this for now though, so hit no. I'm going to choose a 3x3 size, and then we're going to draw a pattern. Try not to make it too easy, like an L or a, one of these. Everyone does that. So pick something slightly more interesting, and that way it still has some resemblance of security, whilst also being quite quick to use if you have to use it. From here, you have the option of showing all notification content or hiding sensitive notification content. I don't know if I'd select don't show notifications at all. That's pretty annoying on the lock screen. But let's say you're quite concerned about potentially someone reading a message on your phone whilst it's locked. Then hit hide sensitive notification content, and that'll make sure that, let's say someone sends you a text message, you can't preview the content without unlocking the phone. So yeah, it's up to you how much security you want. I personally like to hide it, so I'll hit done. Now, from here, we're going to touch the sensor. This is actually slightly wrong. It's at the back and in the middle. So what we have to do, we have to basically just touch the sensor, and it's going to start this process. And I'm just going to keep touching it over and over as if I'm holding it normally. I'm right-handed here, and if I'm just tapping it like this, trying to touch it in a different way, so that if I pick it up from different angles, and I recommend looking at it whilst you're doing this, then it'll get a really good reading of my finger. There we go. And then we can add another finger. So if I wanted to do my other hand, I can do that as well. Also, if you have a partner and you want them to access your phone, you can get them to use this and add a finger of their own so that they can get into your device. So let's say if you're traveling, they can actually control the GPS and stuff without having to get your hands off the wheel. So that's very cool. And also another cool thing that you can do, if you find that it isn't reading your finger 100% reliably, you can go back in here, put in your code, and then you can also add the same finger twice. And I tend to do this, let's say, I've added my finger normally, and then I want to add my finger so that it recognizes it whilst my finger is sweaty, for example. That works pretty well as well. So you can, go ahead and add an additional finger, and you can also rename this too if you want to, differentiate them. So you can remove, you know what they are, for example. Okay, so to show you how this works, for the first time we unlock, and as you can see here, this is all hidden now. We'll have to put in the code. But after that, I can just touch this sensor on the back, and it's going to unlock instantly. Boom. So there's no need for me to actually enter the PIN or even look at the phone, because this is on the back. So when I pull it out of my pocket, my finger naturally just, goes there. So if I lock the phone, boom, it's instantly on. Very, very cool. And highly recommended that you set that up, because it's going to make it more secure and also make it, a lot easier to use. All right, I think that's pretty much it. Hopefully this helps. Let me know if you have any comments or questions, and I'll be happy to get back to those. And for now, enjoy. Thank you for listening. Bye.